And sharing. Let me know when you can see it.
Yep, we see it.
Okay. And is it big enough? I put it on that 125. I know I usually have an issue with that.
Seems okay.
Okay. So Amelia had asked me to move up the, well, first of all, today's October 25th is the MicroProfile marketing call. And we have a couple things that seemed like they're high priority this week. Amelia had asked us, we could put the call steward retrospective here because I think Ed started a discussion last time and we didn't get to finish. And then we'll go right into the working group stuff, which seems to be the priority this week.
Yes, thank you, Debbie.
I was supposed to write some stuff down and I didn't. The only thing was really the weekly cadence when we were going to have a meeting or when we were not going to have a meeting, because it seemed like there was almost always a somebody wanted to use that off-cycle meeting. I don't know. If
the alternate Mondays, right?
Yeah.
Correct.
Do we think that this meeting should be hosted every week?
No, we shouldn't. And Ed, thank you so much to you and Tatiana for bringing this up 2 weeks ago. Because like you are bothered, I am bothered too. We decided in Q2 and Q1 and Q2 and Q3 to keep the calls as a strategy. We must have it because everything we're doing and the tickets and via the threads, emails is not working out. So then let's meet and hash it out in Q&A together. But the idea that we will have it every single Monday is too great as a debt for microprofilers. We don't need this kind of thing. So the situation is, I did send a message after receiving the feedback through the working group forum about Emily bringing back the call. And it was okay, right? Like, because she and John thought that it was necessary when a few of us thought it was not necessary, right? Like the call was put back into the meeting. Many of us missed it because we had other plans. And the point is that before the calls get deleted, I recommended that we will send, for example, I am the steward of those calls, like voluntary, and I have asked Debbie and Tatiana to support on that side in case I'm not available. But the situation is, we could set up saying on this call, we can say the last 3 minutes, do we need the call for next Monday? Yes or no? And then we just say, no, this we can do X and Y, or we send a thread. I send a thread immediately on a Monday and say, these are the topics that I think are important. What are other things? Should we have the call or not? Because I don't think it call. I will provide my biased opinion. I'm ruthless with time. We don't have the time to waste. And I don't believe the call that Emily and John pushed forward is a waste, but I do hear the concern. I have that concern as well. I want my hour back. I want it to be a strategic, like we decided for the 3 quarters, so that Q4 is not like, yeah, we will always have to have it just because it's a working group. That's just cheap tack. What are others thinking about this?
So I've said before that I think that we can just tackle all of those topics during this call because there's a lot of overlap already. We put the working group topics on the agenda for the marketing call. So I feel like we could just do it all on these calls.
I agree that majority of the questions can be covered during these bi-weekly calls, and considering those calls that are like extra, maybe even better not to have them because it's misleading for people every time whether it's going to be already like deleted or not. Someone who is not coming and maybe it's not like deleted and people don't know whether they should come next Monday or not. So maybe if we have some urgent questions, then it's better to create extra call when it's needed and to try to stick like to these bi-weekly calls only, because at the beginning of the year that was like we were structuring, we were like building from scratch almost the process. Right now, more or less, the process is organized already, and the tasks are going on better. So maybe we can stick to bi-weekly calls, and if we need something extra, then we will discuss it like during this bi-weekly call and arrange one more. So we are going to have in the calendars only bi-weekly calls in general.
Plus one. Tatiana, Devi, plus one. Ed, what is your take on this?
Sorry, I was on mute. So
Okay.
I'm happy as long as we can get through the business. If we, what I don't like is, the meeting gets, somebody scrambles the meeting like,
Yes.
sometime after Friday afternoon, and and then I'm like, oh crap, I forgot I didn't get there, right?
Yeah.
So if we can do what we need to do in one meeting every other week, I'm all for it.
John, what is your take on this? And then Ryan. Everyone is in mute today.
Yeah, sorry, I was searching for the unmute.
It's raining. John and I have rain on.
Well, to the best of my ability, I'd like it, our ability. I'd like to, to maintain our every other week. But there are times when things come up that we do have to get done. So, the need to expedite, I guess, is a good word. This discussion around the budget, because we do have to spend the money by the end of the year. That was the reason for hosting kind of the off-week call. So there are going to be, exceptions to the rule. Yeah, obviously more planning would have been a really good thing, but I don't think the realization came up until it was a little late.
We were busy with other stuff that was a priority to us. And many of us are under the assumption that getting the trademark ready to go, that means that we can create the swag around the trademark. Without the mark, what are we doing? It's just like noise. At least in my view.
I don't get that. I mean, you've got as best I can tell, you've got a mark. I mean,
only one.
I wouldn't see that you'd put the, hey, Amelia, like, do you really want to put the compatibility logo on swag? It tends to go on products.
We have
t-shirts aren't compatible, products are.
Yeah, but we have a good issue in a discussion about having implementations and APIs t-shirts. That would be 2 extra t-shirts should the group decide that it's necessary alongside with the committers. MicroProfile needs to decide what will bring forth for swag. And there are many tickets created to enable that discussion. And one of the coolest things is that products are the implementations. And if we have a t-shirt, it will go in there with the implementations. There is a member t-shirt that is the one using the trademark. But early this year, we were talking when deciding so much money on swag and thanking our community that it would be cool to have different things to separate, because members, not all members are implementers. And we need to categorize and appreciate everything that is MicroProfile, that makes MicroProfile, right? So that's the bias on it. But let's Debbie, thank you so much for being in this topic. Let's resurface once again. John, so you're okay with us to go into 2 weeks for the calendar and be very strategic to put back in the calls as needed and be like very good, like, okay, we're going to want it. What this call has been going to be set up. It has been decided. That kind of thing. Yes or no?
Yeah, I'd like to get back to every other week, but like I said,
Okay.
if there may be occasional exceptions, but
Yeah.
generally speaking, every other week.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so then Ryan, you're the last one. What do you think about this?
I agree with John. Like,
all right,
be exceptions, but to get things done, but every other week would be nice.
All right, John, task for you. Can you delete the future working group calls until we decide to bring them back? And clearly we're going to bring them back because I have
What
work
about
to do.
hearing from those that aren't on the
Wait,
call today? You let off.
Yeah, sorry, you said
Like
working group calls or marketing calls?
It's marketing.
Okay. Thank
Marketing, yeah, marketing calls.
You let off the call saying that the attendance would be low today because of EclipseCon. Now this team is making a vote without those that couldn't make the call.
Yeah, I think it's a
makes
fair
sense.
comment, although I think most of the people that normally attend are here, but it should still be probably broadcast.
Okay, so then,
Emily's not on the call. She's often on these
Yeah.
calls.
yeah, she's at EclipseCon today, giving a session on MicroProfile for the future, in future. So then, what we do is we send a message to the marketing forum and the working group forum, and state that these calls will be deleted from the, will be deleted from the calendar, and they will be put back strategically after the group has decided, the team has decided that we need the calls.
Okay. Then I have a request. And my request, John, is to form a sub-team that I can work with on making forward progress and implementing the MicroProfile compatibility program.
Okay.
So Paul, why do we need that?
Because we haven't made progress in weeks. As
Because
best
we are
I can
waiting.
tell, we don't have a vote yet going on the logo. The
Because
logo was defined, as best I can tell, back in June.
and
And here we are, and it'll be November next week.
And the problem is the infra finally, Ryan got access a week and 2 days ago. And Ryan is the one working on this and is almost ready to go. Ryan is going to update us today on it. And as soon as we have that access that he's providing us with, the voting for the compatibility logo, we will have the logo. Because Ryan, you can go in here. We don't have the ticket up, but
I could just talk about it now.
go ahead.
So the only thing I'm missing now from our last discussion last week was adjusting how we present the logos. I had some login issues the week before, but it's all solved. The survey has been updated. It has all the proper logos and the right sizes. And all we're missing is just the description for the top, what we want to say. So, I mean, really, we can vote. We can send it out, I feel, anytime after that content's updated in one paragraph. So
Can you show us what you have? I remember last time you said you will use one logo.
sure.
And I know you're going to update the Git
Can someone give
issues.
me access, please, to share?
Maybe. Am I just not seeing it?
Just need
I
to,
don't know where it is.
Debbie,
honestly.
you just need to stop. You just go to the click and say stop sharing.
Oh, okay, thank you. Hold on, here we are. Pretty simple. This content here will change, but it's just to put a couple links. Do you see the screen, by the way?
Yes.
Okay, just as filler for now. To put some GitHub links and then a link to a PDF that shows the logos and scalable, smaller sizes, how it may look on a website that we created a PDF a while ago. And it's pretty straightforward. Full color, one color, and all you do is rank it. And you have to fill in all of them, one being the most preferred, 5 being least preferred. And after all have been filled in, submit and done. So
Ryan, can you share in the ticket that you're going to fill out, copy paste this section so that we can just write something for it? And
there's already a ticket for it. It's
okay.
this. I wrote you in it. It's already here. We're just waiting
Okay.
for the content.
Okay, this morning?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. I haven't seen it. Question for you, Ryan. I see SurveyMonkey be green. Is it possible for us to adjust the entire profile of the survey to be?
I don't believe they will see this. when
Eh,
they're taking the poll, when they're taking the survey, this bar, because this is in preview mode.
Okay.
Like, I don't think they'll see any of this, but I can look into it, of course.
Mm-hmm. That is secondary. And how easy is it for you to send to maybe a few of us a test on the voting? If you think it's ready, can you,
Yeah,
before
okay,
you,
we just update this text so people can proofread it also.
Mhm.
And then we send it off for a test to, say, this group of people. Everyone fills it in, give it a shot, and then we send it out to the masses.
Yeah. Okay. So do you think we could do, if we work on the wording, do you think we could do the test tomorrow?
Yeah, if you give me that, it's just a copy paste for the text. So
Mhm. We can do the test even right now. What are other
just
things?
put in the ticket so we don't have to like
Yeah.
discuss it and take up valuable time here, and then we can drop it in and send it out to. How do you guys feel about just the marketing group right here?
+1.
It's
Yeah.
fine to run a test. That's fine.
Okay.
Mhm.
All right. Well, I'll make it happen. I'll send it all to you guys tomorrow.
Thank you, Ryan.
No problem.
Okay. Coming, but Paul, does that answer what you were talking about?
Well, it's a start. There's the spreadsheet that where we track all the items that need to complete. This was an important one on there, but there are others that we need to knock off and get done in order
Yes.
to implement the program.
And Paul, I know exactly the one you're talking about who becomes compatible and how. And I did send the forum thread on it. And I think we do need to bring awareness to it tomorrow, because on last week's 2022 working group call planning, we did say that this will be completed. But if the plan is to still delay that conversation, then the group as a whole needs to decide if that is what is going to happen. And I wonder if John, do you think that would be a good idea, just to bring the Git issue, not a Git, the thread onto how do you become a compatible implementer, a member? So tomorrow's call? I know it's not technical. That's one of the things.
Well, have we finished the branding discussion
The branding
for
needs
the
to
program
have,
plan?
yeah, the branding, the trademark guidelines needs to have that piece. It's missing that piece. The document we drafted needs that piece. And without it, we can't move forward. Even if we get the compatibility logo, we won't be able to move forward without the decision.
Right.
Many of us do not want to pay, do not want others, they do not wish to become members of the Eclipse Foundation and the working group.
Right.
Pay.
So
Yeah.
you got I guess, a disconnect here that is, I would say, potentially irreconcilable, because the Eclipse Foundation is clear, and I've tried to be clear in my position to say that membership is a requirement. You can introduce a new level of membership into the working group below corporate, for those that like Jakarta has the participant member, but membership in the foundation and the working group is and will be a requirement to usage of the compatibility logo.
So membership of the Eclipse Foundation and the working group is required based on what's driving that I don't know, decision or stance. What's behind that?
It's an Eclipse Foundation trademark, and it's our position that the trademark represents a trademark of the Eclipse Foundation. Hence, membership in the foundation and in the working group is required and needed in order to support and administer the logo and program.
Okay, so interesting.
Is there, Paul, anything that you can show us in the bylaws for working groups that demands or requires this from all the working groups? Something in writing in the bylaws that says forced the working groups to follow this. If you are saying, the way you say it is as it is in the bylaws already written. If there is anything annotated in it, we wish to see it so that our community can understand. Because throughout all this time, we have thought that the membership for the foundation and the working group was not a requirement.
I think I've been pretty clear in my appends to the email threads that have been discussed on this topic. I mean, you may not have appreciated what I put in.
Oh no, is that?
I think I've been clear.
Mm-hmm.
Or at least I've endeavored to be clear. So apologies if
Mm-hmm.
it's been otherwise.
So does that mean there is something in the bylaws that Amelia could look at? Or there isn't?
It's been our position with other working groups, and it is with MicroProfile that is, our practice.
It's not in the bylaws then.
What is in the trademark policy is our responsibility to own and administer trademarks that are property of the Eclipse Foundation, and it flows from that.
Okay, so does that lead us into the program plan, the marketing plan, or do we want to talk about this some more? I don't know.
The thing I do wonder about in this context is a real problem versus a theoretical problem. In Jakarta, for instance, it has not presented itself as a problem. In fact, under Jakarta's program, it has flourished. There are more members on the compatibility page than there ever were under Java EE. With all credit to Sun and Oracle, and the good work that they did to drive Java EE. It has absolutely flourished under Jakarta. If you go to the compatibility page now, there's a very healthy number of vendors there with that are participating in the program.
Paul, that is not only an example of Java EE under Sun and then Oracle. The only members that to be added into the membership, like compatible, are those ones that paid for access to the TCK. I know this because Tommy Tribe paid for a few years to get access to the TCK. Before that, we wouldn't be able to be listed, even if we were using the technology, correct? Through the Apache lost the license to the TCK. So then Apache Tommy lost the license. And then a few years later, since there was no movement, we decided to work with Oracle team, who was amazing on this side with Bill Shannon and Linda and many others. And then we discovered even much more that goes into details that cannot be shared in this call. But we can't use Java EE as it was paid support to Jakarta EE being open source.
Right, and it's that's not my point of comparison. It's in a way it is. So point taken. But I guess my point would be that if we go to the compatible products page for Jakarta EE, those are all paying members, and anyone can download the TCK, run the TCK, and make factual claims of compatibility. But if they want to use the logo, then they need to satisfy some additional requirements, including being a member of the foundation and being a member of the working group. And in the case of Jakarta, it's either strategic or participant members. And the program's flourished. And there is a provision as well for open source communities with the approval of the steering committee to also use the logo. And in that case, it's at no charge.
What about that provision you mentioned, Paul?
It's in the trademark usage guidelines that Jakarta has, and in the case of Jakarta, it's requires unanimous approval of the steering committee. It could be that for open source projects that the MicroProfile steering committee takes a different yardstick. Perhaps it's supermajority or simple majority, but for Jakarta, it was chosen to be unanimous support. But in that way, it gave a path forward for open source projects to be able to have access to the logo, which of course is in general interest of the community, and so likely would always get full support of the steering committee, which is perhaps why they went with what they did.
Okay, so Debbie, you're so amazing. In the interest of time, you're allowing us to crawl onto one topic, and you can terminate this topic and we can move it to maybe tomorrow's call. I think, Paul, we have misunderstood you, at least I have. I think it's important for the Eclipse Foundation to follow up in the thread we restarted after last week's call and say, there is no bylaws that dictates that the working groups must have all the memberships, like these kind of questions need to be, but then you can say, clearly.
I've responded in the threads already. I think the position's known. I'll go back and reread what I posted to see if there's, if the wording could be tightened up, but I think I've stated our position. But I will go back and take another look to see if there's,
Thank you.
if I could strengthen the language in any way, but I thought it was clear, but apologies if I have not.
No.
And I will take another look to see if I can improve the text.
Yeah, Paul, communication is challenging, especially because we're all over the world. So it's totally okay. And when we ask questions, I think we're like, okay, I didn't understood you, or I understood you, I understand. So that kind of thing is only when we repeat what we have heard or read. So thank you so much for taking that time. We can have it as an action item for Paul to review. We will, I'm not sure, Ed is the one that takes the best minutes. I think we need to take better minutes of this.
I'm not taking them today.
Exactly. Debbie,
And you know what? You solve this problem by just not taking good minutes.
Exactly. So Debbie, it's not an offense to you, but trust me on this.
Yeah.
I swear to you that I have gotten like pampered with Ed and the working group marketing minutes. I just don't know what else to do. I'm sorry.
That's fine.
Okay,
So-
and I will, if I find time today, I will, I'll respond to what I believe is the active thread on this topic.
Yes.
Yeah, and if it would be nice to have this, as Amelia's mentioning, more formally documented somewhere as to being kind of just a stance.
Yeah.
I think it would really help. And and Red Hat's also on the lines of not requiring membership. So we've made that pretty clear.
I know.
Yeah.
Scott has been a champion of that.
Tommy Tribe and Red Hat are against this kind of thing. We're very strongly about this. So when we don't see writing that says this is the law, even laws can be changed if logic works for the future. So please let us know, Paul, how do we submit a request for this to be in writing? Do we write about syllabug? Like, you can tell us, because maybe this call is not enough. Maybe we need to document and say this, and I'm happy for us to say this is the thread that we have been asking. Whatever it needs, if you come back to us and tell us how we can communicate these requests, that would be great. It will alleviate a lot of misinformation on us thinking that we still have flexibility to negotiate when we do not.
Well, and there's the timing, or the need to get something done, and then having runway to work a topic that requires more runway. So the other proposal that's been put out there is, let's get going with what we can do, and continue to work on this this disconnect that's there.
Okay. I have a question, Tatiana. Since Paul and John did agree that we need more time for to delete the extra calls, are you okay to own that email? Your writing is amazing, kind, and send it
You
to the
mean
working.
to say to everyone that we are planning to remove these
Yes.
in betweens? I would say.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Is it possible for you to own that task?
Yeah, I can do that.
Thank you so much.
Should you write this only to marketing or also
Marketing
to
and working group. Marketing and working group.
Okay.
Forums.
Okay. Well, I know that this hasn't really been fully resolved yet, but I think we should move on to the marketing plan that Clark had sent a message on the forum about.
Absolutely.
Any objections? I think I saw Clark.
Let's do it.
Yeah, Clark's here.
Yeah. Would you like to just click on that, Debbie, and we can run through it?
And Clark, thank you so much for sending it. You sent it on a Friday. I haven't seen it. So I want to ask someone here, all of you, have you seen the recommendation yet before this presentation?
I saw the link because I added it, but that was as far as I got.
Who reviewed it?
Yeah, I think I might have pulled it up. But
I did not.
Exactly, no one.
Me either.
So Clark,
Guilty. Guilty as charged.
Clark, remember this, we haven't seen it. And the only thing I read in your email was, allow me to present this for you on Monday. That's it. And then listen, this is how we worked. If you send anything on Friday, forget about it. We will not see it. And you can either, my direct feedback for you is on that email, and I want to say it now, right? Is do not throw deadlines that you're okay with without normal 360 feedback where we agree to the recommendation, because it sounds in a way that you would pressure us to choose or to drop things, but we don't do that in MicroProfile. We're extremely okay to work with you and the Eclipse Foundation, but don't throw deadlines because it won't work and it will backlash.
So my apologies for sending this on Friday. I've got a lot of other work that I'm doing, and I am trying to help MicroProfile spend this money in a way that is beneficial to the working group. So we had a really good brainstorming session here a few weeks ago, and this is the basis for what we determined and what we talked about in that brainstorming session. So basically, what we're talking about is a MicroProfile 5.0 launch campaign. This came from Emily that said, "Hey, we'd like to do a press release," but it never makes sense just to do a press release. From a marketing standpoint, if we're going to do a press release, let's build some other materials around it. All right, let's really promote this. If we think that we've got something special with MicroProfile 5.0, let's build a campaign. All right, so press release, that's a basic. Let's do a blog post or two. Let's do a little mini white paper. We've got some really good subject matter experts. These are the ones that were suggested. Emily had one, John. There may be others, so I'm looking for feedback here. Next slide, Debbie. SEO. This was one of the program objectives for the year of MicroProfile, to work on website SEO. I've started working with an expert on this, and basically this is kind of the steps they need to go through. First they do a site audit, the keyword search, so they can analyze what the current status of the website is, and then they can make some recommendations based on that. The recommendation that they've made so far is that we really focus on optimizing those core pages. There are a lot of other pages and subdomains out there. What they're suggesting is we focus on the 8 main pages and 22 project pages. They indicated that there are 1.4 million records out there to index, so it's a huge site. When you talk about all the subdomains, and then they mentioned the current authority score is 42, and the authority score is really what helps determine how Google indexes the documents and the assets that you post on your site. As an example, Eclipse Foundation authority score is 88. So we want that authority score to go up, and there are some things we can do to make that go up. So then, based on that, they will make some recommendations, and most of this is going to have to be 2022 implementation in terms of how we structure the pages, what keywords and meta tags we use, and then build a more comprehensive content strategy. So events, a couple of these are already done. MicroProfile was highlighted as one of the sponsors for KubeCon Cloud Native in Los Angeles. In conjunction with that, we had our Cloud Native for Eclipse Foundation Day, where Emily and Tatiana both spoke. Thank you very much, Tatiana. Emily's not here, but they both did a fantastic job. That was a nice event. We had 100 plus live attendees, and there's a link there if you want to go see what that was all about. Then the third item there is having MicroProfile join Jakarta EE at jconf.dev. So we already know that Edwin and Josh are going to be doing a session at that particular event.
Clark, I have a question about the slide.
Yeah.
When you say virtual booth sponsored for KubeCon, MicroProfile didn't approve budget for it. You mean it was for free, correct?
We didn't charge MicroProfile for it necessarily. Though there's a cost to all these things, as you might know. We included MicroProfile just because we thought it made good sense and it was good for the working group.
Okay.
And you know what? I don't know that we need to get your approval.
No.
To do these things. So we as the foundation do have an obligation to help you achieve your objectives. And we've got a budget to do that, which is what we're talking about right now.
Yes, Clark, we get it. But I believe that in all working groups, the working groups decide what events they will sponsor and invest money on based on sessions. For example, I think it was wonderful for the Eclipse Foundation to include the MicroProfile working group, but we didn't get that landing communication in the working group saying, hey, you guys, we're doing this for your community. We have Tatiana and Emily doing this. We already knew that, right? That they were going to participate, but we thought it was for IBM and Gelastics independent situation, right? So there is a disconnect in communication on coverage, right? You want to do something amazing for the entire group, working group, and we want to be involved in this, to thank you, to appreciate you, and work with you. I don't think anyone here would be okay if we discover a few months later that money has been used for this conference and this conference, and we have been taken out of the equation, correct? So when you say this is what the foundation does for the working groups, does it mean that we have no voice on the future of MicroProfile and the voice in how we want to support our communities? Is that what you mean by saying that?
No, nobody's saying you have no voice, Amelia. So I think the general antagonistic feelings that I get from you, they're not productive.
And Clark, thank you so much for the direct feedback. I appreciate it. I am just understanding for the first time that we had a sponsor booth here.
Yes, you're welcome.
It caught me, yeah, thank you. But it did catch me by surprise.
All right, and then finally, swag, MicroProfile gear. This is, something that I think we've talked about. I think everybody agrees we need to do some. And here's what we're suggesting is maybe start out with 100 hoodies, a couple hundred t-shirts, whatever number of stickers. And the design, I assume that Ryan would take the lead on what that design looks like.
Yeah, no problem with that.
So we're down to the last 2 months. So there's a lot that needs to happen in a short period of time. I'm looking for feedback on what can we do to improve this, but I think it is in the absence of another plan coming from this group, we've got to move forward. And we're like I say, we're down to our last 2 months.
Clark, my question for you is about the ESO. What is the value of that service? Because the Eclipse Foundation provides products for the working groups, but in the working group page for all the projects, there is not a catalog of products in the purchase. On how do you see, how much will it be for MicroProfile working group to decide, yes, we want to buy this SEO product?
We're not selling a product. We're trying to execute a strategy that benefits the working group.
Well, a service. There are services that the working groups get from the Eclipse Foundation, and the working groups can buy and drop the services as without notice. We've noticed.
Yeah, so for an SEO plan, we outsource that because that's typically a service that we don't have internally. We don't have those. We will always defer to experts in these areas, and typical SEO strategy for this for this size of a site, as outlined, is going to be in the $8,000 to $12,000 range
per year.
It doesn't include any implementation. This is to put the plan together and the recommendations.
What are others think about the items, this item and the mini white paper, the improvements? Could it be that we add, the Eclipse EMO adds value, the price that will cost? Will that be okay? What are others thinking about to help us think about this? Do you think knowing the value of the cost is a good idea?
Knowing the value of the cost. Well,
no, it means
all I know, Amelia, is that this group has done nothing this year, and
in terms of spending money, that is true.
Totally true.
Yep, and we're at the point where we're debating costs and value. Is I think we're kind of past that point. We either spend it or we don't. So
and we have to spend it by the end of the year. So
yep.
The way I look at this is, this is not Amelia, an annual expense necessarily, right? This is a way to basically spend the allocated money for this year.
John, how will this shape 2022 budget if we go with? Clearly, we're going to spend about a lot of the money in swag, but how will this impact 2022 workaround?
Well, I could see this reducing the 2022 budget because a lot of the delivery would be in 2022, right?
And that's true, John. A lot of this delivery wouldn't actually happen until 2022 because we are down to last minute type things. So we would start this process with deliveries probably going over into Q1.
Mhm. And then everyone takes December 15 vacation after that.
Yep.
Mhm.
We know Eclipse Foundation has a great vacation period. Okay,
Well, so does Red Hat.
exactly. And we too, Tommy tried too. How are others seeing this presentation? And Clark, thanks for the direct feedback to me because I really appreciate it. And I hope that you're taking my feedback as valuable as well. Others, points of view.
Well, I think these are all valuable things, and I think they're things that we've already been considering to a large degree. So the swag we've already been talking about but haven't executed on. The SEO we've been talking about but haven't executed on. The white paper, we haven't really. I don't think we've really been talking about that, refreshing that a whole lot. But coming up with a why MicroProfile 5 matters is would be a new topic. But it's in support of a MicroProfile 5, and that would have to happen in relatively short order.
That also sounds more like a blog to me. Not that it matters, but a white paper is usually more technical rather than the why it's good or why we want to use it.
Exactly.
And yeah, it can be whatever we want it to be. What we're thinking is something that's a little more professional that can be used throughout the year, assuming that MicroProfile 5.0 is something that is really going to be a big push. Let's build some assets around it that the community can understand why it really matters.
Mm-hmm.
So I was going to put a plug in for the press release thing. My rationale behind that is blogs and the noise we make on our tweets. Those are all subscribers. Those are people that already know about us. Whereas I think press releases at least have the potential for reaching out to people that are not, already, following what we're doing, right? Maybe the potential is low, but I think it's, our goal is to grow our community base, to grow our user base, right? And so we want MicroProfile name and the MicroProfile, activity to be put in front of people that, might otherwise not be aware of what we're doing.
Right.
Sorry.
And so when we talk about a press release, we're not just saying we're going to issue a press release. We're actually going to have our PR agency reach out and actively try to get articles published and placed. So and to your point, I think that's a really important thing to outreach to those who don't know who we are.
So if, my goal, my main desire is greater outreach to people that don't know about MicroProfile, right? Press release is one way of doing it. I don't, if we have other ways, and I'm just, blog posts, all that stuff backs up the press release, but you want to get those, that awareness in front of people that aren't using MicroProfile, that, they aren't thinking about it, even close to the way we do, right? So anyway, that's my 2 cents.
Any other thoughts?
I think we need to thinking, and we need to distribute this with the entire community, Clark, and also the steering committee, the awareness. Thanks so much for presenting it today, for showing up today to present and asking for the time to present. We appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. And just as a reminder, we've got to get started on these initiatives right away. So,
and I know that we have totally failed on using the money for the reasons that we didn't have the logo. So we thought we needed to have all completed. But my feedback in the slides, if it's possible for you to fix, is can you add the costs, the estimate costs? Anything, if someone asks me, hey, I need you to spend
You know what,
X.
I'm actually not going to get into costs. Again, we're either going to do this or we're not.
But then MicroProfile becomes a blank check. And we would
It's
not
not a
have,
blank check because you've only got limited funds. And I can guarantee you that these costs are going to overrun the 36K that you've got. The foundation will end up doing an overrun and paying for part of this. I guarantee it. So
Clark, I think we haven't told you, we have some money from the trademark side coming our way as well. So there will be a buffer, an addition, because microprofilers have done a lot of the work in the trademark. So
I'm not seeing that. I'm not seeing that, Amelia. I must say I'm not seeing that. I mean, yeah, so
you're saying,
I hear you, but not seeing it.
We have not completed the trademark. That is because we don't have the compatible logo yet. And we need to decide on how can you use the mark for the compatibility. But the work that has been done to get us here has been done by microprofilers with the help of the Eclipse Foundation here and there. However,
well, it's not so much here and there. Let's not have an abstract discussion. The spreadsheet identifies the items that need to get done and where we're at and who's doing what.
yes,
And that's what's guiding us. And that's that's our track record of what we're doing together here.
yes, but I am still saying there is money coming back.
Well, I mean, I don't know where you're coming up with that point of view. It may be what you desire, but I'm not seeing it, is what I'm saying.
The point is that we were very specific when working on the project creation last year that no money will be used of the 40K without the approval, without the notification to the steering committee. And we agreed on that.
It doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that. We've been working on this program for months now. And every time the program takes an unexpected turn and we end up having long-winded discussions that take it off in different directions, then it just takes more foundation time to get the work done.
So you are saying that 40,000 will be, all the work the microprofilers have been done will be zero, will be considered zero, and the foundation will take the 40K as if we did no work whatsoever. Is that the case, Paul?
Yeah, I'm not going to get backed into a corner here on this.
I'm sorry, it's not what I mean, but
topic. We're the work that's in the budget or in the in the plan and in the budget is getting done, and as we see it based on everything that we've got to get done, we're tracking to the budget.
Yeah, we know that we have to spend the money before the end of the year. And if we're concerned about going over the 30K, then we can cap it to 30K, right? We can cap the swag. We could maybe not do a mini white paper or whatever, right? If it's got professional editing behind it, right? I don't think there's we should be able to cap it to the 30K.
can we cap it? Can we cap the budget, Clark?
yes, I think we can do all those things for 30K.
So it's 1 minute to 2. I don't feel like we've come to a resolution, but how do we want to?
Well, the resolution, I guess, the resolution is basically, do we think that with the items that Clark has outlined, mainly around SEO and swag and an MP5 marketing, PR and release, is that, does that sound a reasonable spend for the 30K budget?
I think it is. I don't know what else we would spend it on between now and December.
Yeah, I think so as well, because at least 2 out of the 3 we were already going to spend on, right? The swag and the SEO. It's just a matter of getting it done. And how we do those things, because we need to expedite this year, might be different than how we do it next year, but we do have to expedite spend this year.
I think we can work on the logistics on the swag and who gets it and all this stuff internally by creating an e-form and making sure that our communities provide the address confidentially and all those things. Eclipse Foundation clearly has things in place for it. With the SEO, you're correct, John. We were planning on it as well. The white paper, we need to see if there is value on it. MP5, Roberto nicely pointed out, MicroProfile doesn't have new features. It's an infra release. Do we want to make a splash out of it without releases, or do we wait for later? So I'm a little bit concerned about the white paper being noise.
Hey, so here's something to think about. Is it's been a while since there was a press release. 4.0, 4.1, 5.0. There is an opportunity to accumulate everything that's happened since there was a last one to catch everybody up.
You mean, Paul, a summary?
Well,
5 years?
to
progress to date.
Yeah, because it's been a while since there's been a press release. It's been a while since you talked to those outside your community, as best I can tell. And as Ed points out, the press release is a great way to do that. So catch them up with everything that you've been doing, the community's been doing since last time, including 4.1, 4.0, and 5.0. I'm no marketer though, so it's just me thinking out loud.
Yeah. So Debbie, we are out of time, and you were so nice to say 1 minute. So Clark and Paul, thanks so much for showing us the marketing plan. Now we get to sync on it and discuss it internally. Is that that is what we're going to do? John, do you want to send the marketing plan to the community forum and the working group, or do you want me to own that task?
I'll let you own that task.
Okay, I figured you would. I was like, oh, okay, I do that. Let's do this. Debbie, call is yours.
Okay, well, thank you for coming. And I guess we will just distribute it, and then we'll have to take some next steps after that, because this one, it needs to be expedited, right? So should we put a deadline on it when we're gonna
We can't put out the line when the community has not seen it. We don't do that. We need to educate and see. This is what we need to do.
To the community, we need to make a decision by the state.
This isn't necessarily something that needs to be voted on by the community, so it's more for informational purposes.
Yeah, the steering committee needs to be very aware of this stuff.
Okay, well, the steering committee, I assume, is on the work group mailing list.
Yes.
This proposal was sent to the work group mailing list, and it was sent to the marketing team.
So it's already out there, is what you're saying.
Yeah, it was sent on Friday to
Yeah.
both those lists.
Yeah. All right, so I will send it to the community for further awareness and say this is what is happening, feedback, input, and let's move forward.
All right, great.
Okay, thank you.
Thank
All
you
right.
all.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you. Bye for now.
Well, thanks.